वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम. So we are now entering into this book, which is Correspondence with Sri Aurobindo by Nirodha or Dr. Nirodbaran, as he was well known in the ashram circles. Interestingly, Damleji had a good opportunity of personally meeting Nirodbaran many times. So it is very nice to actually, for me to hear it directly from him, some of the stories. Someday we can ask Damleji also to share as we go ahead. But before we continue, can someone recollect what we saw? Some of the takeaways from our last session. Two, 3 points were discussed, isn't it? Anybody? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Deepak ji. Ji, sir.
कन्वर्सेशन में वो जो कुछ सबसे छोटी छोटी जो भी बात थी, वो हर
हाँ,
चीज पूछ पूछ के कर रहे थे, और उनको बिल्कुल ईगो नहीं था उसकी
हाँ,
क्वेरीज में। और
या,
एकदम डिस्टेंटली ऐसे कर रहे थे जैसे हैंड होल्डिंग होता है किसी का।
हाँ, as a
ऐसे
child, isn't
ऐसे
it?
हाँ, ऐसे रिस्पॉन्स भी उनको वो हिसाब से मिल रहा था।
Ji, ji. So that was one very big takeaway. I think the conduct, because Dr. Niruppan was not just one some child. He was actually a FRCS doctor from England. He had come and he was quite experienced also. Yet, how he was interacting with Sri Aurobindo, the way he was acting, it was like a small child. Smallest of small questions he was. And that is actually a very good example of a Sat Shishya. Means we have to have that humility, we have to have that sincerity. And even the smallest stuff, can I go for music? Tea is tea a problem in sadhana? I think all of us have habits of taking tea, isn't it? Are we attached to it? We are supposed to come out of attachment. So somewhere some guidelines were given, but no rigid rules. So he was asking simplest of questions also. Why is he doing that? Anybody? Was he naive? Bhola, they say. No? It's very easy to put a name. This person is Bhola. That we have learned, we have mastered that art of dismissing people who are sincere as innocent or delusional or silly, or even our Bhagwan we call Bholenath only, isn't it? But what is this sincerity? Isn't it important? This attitude, or it is unnecessary to over sincerity? What do you think? Yes, Deepak ji. Yes, sir.
वो काफी अच्छा है क्योंकि उनको प्रॉपर डायरेक्शन मिल रहा था, और
हाँ.
कैसे आगे उनको स्टेप बाय स्टेप बेबी स्टेप भी कैसे लेना है उनको एकदम क्लियर होता था। और स्लोली स्लोली वो भी खुद कॉन्फिडेंट हो रहे थे कि मैं जो कर रहा हूँ सही कर रहा हूँ, सही दिशा में मुझे ले जा रहे हैं। तो
Yes, yes. So it means fully available for the guru to bring about a transformation. So
राइट,
no
परफेक्ट,
hiding, yeah,
परफेक्ट,
no
परफेक्ट।
nothing, no parts. अरे ये कैसे बताऊं? Very recently I had a dialogue. No, no, I can't share this with my guru. अरे I said, why are you talking to me? You should not. First thing you should share is, no, no, what will he think about me? I said, that is not your question to my friend. He was doing a particular Ugra sadhana. So he's discussing only about sadhana, but he's not discussing about other parts. That means he has made a compartment, isn't it? This is my spiritual life. This is my material life. A lot of people do that. But when you are living the truth. And truth is in all dimensions, in every place. So I think Deepak ji has given one very beautiful takeaway of, yes, how Dr. Nirodharan was a Sat Shishya, how we can all probably learn that aspect of sincerity. We need not hide. Do we have to hide our feelings? Or
दैट
do we have to be ashamed in front of divine? Be sincere, that is enough, no? Yes, so that is one thing. Another important something was there about vital draining, if you remember, that one term was introduced. Means we know there is a physical, there is a mental, there is vital or vital body or an emotional body inside of everyone. So as you are conscious, you should understand what is working. All these are like koshas of our self. They are affecting our sadhana also. Today I saw something, I got so overwhelmed. So when that emotionally, I got so happy. Have you heard of anyone having stomach troubles when they are over, what we can say, some person is very afraid and then they develop a diarrhea? Has anybody heard of such a case or met someone like that? Yes, isn't it? What is this? Again, the vital body suddenly got. Yes, sir. Deepak ji is saying something. Yes, sir.
ऐसे लोगों से हमारा एनर्जी लेवल जो है वो डाउन होते रहेगा।
Ha ha ha.
तो
Yes, yes. So this vital draining is one aspect we should become conscious of when we are interacting with people. Sometimes we get very happy also in happiness also. Are we experiencing the happiness? Are we gathering the happiness? Are we elevating it to Ananda? Or it's like you're putting water in a tank or taki khol di. All that water that you have collected is going waste. That is what happens. So that was one question. One more aspect was how do we develop a resistance? And one point was touched. Anybody, could you recollect? How do we develop a resistance to this vital draining? Anyone? And we'll quickly go ahead. Yes. How one person was depressed, that person's depression got carried over to another person. I went interacted with this person, felt very sad. Is it in the air? Is it like a virus? Yes, Johiji. Yes, please.
Actually, in the letters, Sri Aurobindo ji has mentioned three things. I only remember two. One is to not be in contact with those people because they are depressed and they will make other also depressed, like
Yeah.
pulling the energy. Second was if we are energy drained, divinity has all the energy in the world. We can ask him, ask Krishna. And there was second
Mm.
point which I'm forgetting. Like that
Ah,
this one was the third.
yes. Basically, I would say is when we draw one kind of barrier, no? When we draw a barrier, beyond this it will not. And what is the greater barrier than the our kavach of yes, Deepak ji is saying something. Yes.
वो जैसे आपने लक्ष्मण रेखा बताया था,
Yeah.
तो
Ji,
लक्ष्मण
ji,
रेखा
ji,
को
ji.
ध्यान रखते हुए हमें डिसीजन लेना है।
Yes. But can we draw Lakshman Rekha when we see our near and dear ones?
नॉट रियली।
But should we?
यस वी शुड।
We should, isn't it? Yes, we should, because we want to not get drained for our loved ones also. Sometimes we see something very nice, or we see someone, Arey, wow, wow, you get so carried away. In that carried away, only a lot of problems happen. So probably that what we can understand that vital draining should be avoided. So all right, let us, without delay, we will quickly enter into the correspondence. This is actually very interesting how Nirodhan, in the middle of, if you see his correspondence, it is very interesting because nowadays we have WhatsApps, isn't it? We just quickly send a message in different apps, different platforms, we get immediate responses. But that time he used to send a letter. That letter would get delivered outside of Shervindo's room. Shervindo would be in his sadhana. Shervindo would dedicate some specific time for his response, correspondence, everything. Many times Shervindo would write in a hurry that Shervindo would not write very clearly his handwriting. So Niruddhan would write a letter again. I did not understand what is written. Shervindo reply, even I don't know what I have written in that. So this was a very interesting, very sincere and beautiful correspondence. One of the beautiful aspect was Sri Aurobindo was doing a very intense sadhana. It was so intense that nobody even knew what exactly is happening, and whoever got glimpses, they were also finding it beyond their understanding. Everybody was praying, aspiring. Rabindranath Tagore also came to meet. He said, Gurudev called him like, you are the guide. You will show the light for us. We will follow what you show. In that sadhana, that Sri Aurobindo, that legend, even young Subhash Chandra Bose had got inspired. Afterwards, he didn't understand why is he withdrawn. He did not like it. Why did Sri Aurobindo suddenly withdraw? He did not understand that Alipur Krishna experience that he had to suddenly withdraw from the freedom struggle. But every single one had understood he's an exalted person, and yet Sri Aurobindo took that, what we can say, sincerity in answering the smallest of questions. This also shares that we should also be sincere, isn't it? To everybody. When Sri Aurobindo can take out, but it is said how in even in details, smallest of details. Why? Yoga karmasu kaushalam. We have already seen that in the Bhagavad Gita. This is spirituality, as Damleji says, perfection in works. Sri Aurobindo also would say the same thing. Let us continue. The letter is written, addressed to the mother by Nirodharan. Mother, today, after pranam, as I raised my eyes, I could not but mark something different in your look, as if some surprise, some concern, even the suggestion of a reproach was trying to express itself. The mother, no, not at all. Next letter. I feel it may be due to one of two reasons. First, I have been having vital thoughts, but when I realize they may be due to yoga, my mind settled down. Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo underlined due to yoga and put a question mark. Again, vital thoughts in the sense, thoughts connected to our emotional desire, our own feelings, all of them were impinging. That is what he's saying. Then, second, Nirudbaran writes, second, I had to go to the pyre with X as she was not feeling well, and I came back depressed. Sri Aurobindo. The pyre itself has a very bad atmosphere nowadays. Nirodharan. For which of the two reasons did you give me that searching look? Sri Aurobindo. For neither. You looked depressed. So mother looked at you. There was no other reason. Nirodharan. I feel much better when alone, but sometimes I have to attend to X in her illness, or I have to go to market with her. I wish I could do all this with a calm mind. I hope I am clear. Sri Aurobindo. Quite. And you are right. But I don't see the way out for the moment unless you separate yourself within and put a guard of calm aloofness around you. So, unless you separate yourself within and put a guard of calm aloofness around you. This is, I think, an important aspect for preventing the vital draining. This is May 6th, 1933. Mother, one mistaken idea seems to trouble me for some time. I feel that in the evening, whenever my eyes catch your look, you suddenly turn it away. I come to see with some misapprehension, lest you do not look at me. I am sure there is no truth in my imagination. Sri Aurobindo, no, there is no truth in it. It's your own idea, your apprehension and misapprehension that produce in you the misconception that mother does not want to look at you. May 7th, 1933. Last night, I had a funny dream. My sleep suddenly broke off and I heard somebody saying to me, standing near my head, that Sri Aurobindo has asked him to use my soap, and I had the distinct sweet smell of the soap. I was frightened and trembled all over. Any significance, Sri Aurobindo? In itself, the dream was absurd and has no significance, but it may be the transcription made by the mind. But it may be the transcription made by the mind was false, and the man standing at the head was a vital force approaching. That alone would explain your fear. But this kind of fear ought to be got over. The sadhak has to be able to face the vital world in waking or in sleep with courage, calm, and confidence in protection. Uh, do I read this once more? Can we take a moment on this, or would you like it to be read again?
Yes, please.
Yes. All right, Ji, fine. So one more thing, yesterday in the last session we did see was about becoming conscious of the dreams, isn't it? How we, Sri Aurobindo had also talked about, instructed Nirodharan how one must consciously go into sleep and consciously wake up. Most of the times we wake up with a sudden jerk. Alarm rings and we suddenly wake up in a start. There's a lot of disturbance, which we can say vital disturbance. At that time, a lot of interactions take place. Here, they are talking about that dream only. I'll just read out Sri Aurobindo's words. It was a dream in which Nirodharan saw a glimpse of somewhere. It is, he got a wonderful smell also, and fear also was there. So let us hear what Sri Aurobindo had said. The dream was absurd and has no significance. But it may be the transcription made by the mind was false, and the man standing at the head was a vital force approaching. That alone would explain your fear. But this kind of fear ought to be got over. The sadhak has to be able to face the vital world in waking or in sleep with courage, calm, and confidence in the protection. So this is one very important aspect. Is in our dreams also sometimes we get indications, sometimes we get crystal clear visions, sometimes we get premonitions. In our delight family also some have had very horrendous dreams. Dreams where a lot of violence, lot of death connected with sometimes with some other world also. What is overall we have to do, at least one important thing that we can learn here is, we can say, courage, calm, confidence in the protection that is there, protection of the higher force. Higher force is the force that is raising our consciousness. We have been told in the Gita, isn't it? Atmaiva bandhur atmana, atmaiva ripur atmana. So there is a friend inside, there is an enemy inside also. Enemy is that which is lowering our consciousness. Friend is when we are able to raise ourselves. So all those moments, again, fear is not required, is what Krishna is, what Sri Aurobindo is saying. This is something which we have to keep in mind. Let us go on. Nirodharan, I hear that many people have been on the point of going away due to the pressure of yoga. Sri Aurobindo, it is not due to the pressure of yoga, but to the pressure of something in them that negates the yoga. If one follows one's psychic being and higher mental will, no amount of pressure of yoga can produce such results. People talk as if yoga had some maleficent force in it which produces these results. It is on the contrary, the resistance to yoga that does it. If one follows one's psychic being and higher mental will, psychic being, Chaitya Purush, this is all what we can connect with the inner being. Each of us has what we call a psychic being. Sri Aurobindo had recognized it and he would use these terms more often. A good example for us is when does the psychic being come to the front? Sudden experiences which are not just emotional, they are beyond the level of emotions. Has anybody felt maybe when you have visited some kind of waterfall or some kind of great nature, some some park or somewhere in nature's company, or sometimes in a company of someone you are very well, someone who is beloved. In that time, it is not just emotions, something beyond emotions. Or suddenly an unexpected tear. You're not crying, but the tear is coming out and it is giving a sight of satisfaction. Anybody has experienced any of these things? Yes? Has anybody? Yes? Deepak ji, yes sir.
जब भी हम बहुत अच्छी तरह से दिल से प्रार्थना करते हैं, तो मतलब
Okay.
ऐसे
हाँ
100% इन्वॉल्व होके, ऐसा
हाँ
नहीं खाली
हाँ
फॉर्मेलिटी, बट दिल से अच्छी तरह से, टाइम भी है, सब सब चीज अपने फेवर में है, और दिल
हाँ
से
हाँ.
भगवान से बात करते हैं, तो ऑटोमेटिक टीयर स्टार्ट्स कमिंग आउट ऑफ
It
आईज,
it starts coming
नेचुरली
out of.
नेचुरली, और
It
एकदम
is not emotional, isn't it?
नो नो
Because
इट्स
emotional feels lower, no, in compared to that experience. Emotions feel like, arey, this is insecurity,
हाँ 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 हाँ,
attachment. This is not like that, isn't it?
ऑल अमेजिंग एक्सपीरियंस, माइंड
Yes.
ब्लोइंग.
So, yes, okay, Deepak ji has given a beautiful experience. Yes. Anybody else would like to add on to what Deepak ji shared to us? Yes. Anybody's felt that?
I
Juhi
have a
ji? Yeah.
question. So actually,
We'll
You
go
had
to the
shared.
question next. Joey ji, can we just come to that question next
No, no, it's
after?
not a question. I just want to
Acha,
confirm. So
okay.
actually,
तो
I
चलेगा.
remember a Dandeji story that
Okay.
he has went to I think Sri Aurobindo ji's
Nurpek
ashram,
Shashru.
and
Sorry, please continue. I'm
yeah,
sorry for interrupting.
no,
Yeah.
not that. It's another one.
Okay.
When his so when he went there, he was meditating at some temple or maybe in mother's hall or something. And then
Okay.
he was like diving a lot into the meditative state. Then he heard something that no, stop.
हाँ,
This is the like this is it. You don't have to go deep into it. So then I
हाँ,
said that
हाँ.
was the chat. This thing that we are talking about.
Okay, that was a different experience that was connected with that was a spiritual experience of the direct intervention. We get
Oh,
a
oh, oh.
like Shruti, we hear something like that. He heard that voice. But probably
Okay,
that was
understood.
a time when it was a psychic being came to the front, so you can hear it. We'll come to that, but that
Okay.
is slightly different, but you are quite on target that way on about it. So yes, as Deepak ji gave one example is when we are praying. Okay, Rajeshri ji, yes, please.
Can I? Yeah. I
Yes.
I I belong to Kerala from a
हाँ
place where there's a very famous Krishna temple, and I'm a Krishna bhakt. तो मेरे
जी।
घर के पास ही है वो टेम्पल।
हम्म,
जब मंदिर सुबह जाना होता है तो मन में रहता है कि बहुत कुछ बोलना है, एक्सपेक्टिंग नहीं पर बताना है भगवान को। तो द मोमेंट आई एंटर द टेम्पल एंड आई स्टैंड वेरी नियर टू द सैंक्टम सैंक्टोरियम, जस्ट वेरी नियर। एंड वहां पे केरला में होता है क्या कि दे डेक अप लॉर्ड, अच्छी तरह से, किसी दिन मोहिनी रूप, किसी दिन
yes, yes.
दूसरा कुछ, तो इट्स चंदन से पूरा वो भर
Yeah,
देते
yeah.
हैं, कवर यू अप विद चंदन, गॉड को। एंड कभी कभी, it's not every day, whenever I am like overwhelmed or something, I go to the temple and there'll be very few people and I'm standing just next to that. I see God being decked up and पता नहीं ऐसी आंखों से पानी आता रहता, I don't know why.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then we are not able to tell anything because
Yes,
I know he
yes.
knows everything. That's all.
Yes, absolutely,
That's
Rajshri.
my
That is actually that is an occasion like Deepak ji talked about. It's similar, I think,
yeah.
in
That's
the
what. Yeah.
divine. Yes. Something like this also happens when you go sometimes in suddenly, visit a waterfall somewhere or some beautiful scenery. Suddenly, you don't know what it is. You don't know why. It's nothing. It's nothing emotional or no nothing of that sort. And yet suddenly one drop of water. Yes, Deepak ji is saying.
हाँ, वो वहाँ पे हमको रियल में प्रकृति क्या है, उनका पावर
Ah,
क्या है,
Prakriti's presence.
कैन वेरी
Yes.
वेल फील इट।
So these are all moments.
अनुभूति
जी
होती है वहाँ पे
जी
कि
sir. As
बहुत
exactly
पावर है।
Anubhuti. Yes, yes, yes. Anubhav also comes there because that time lower vital has been silenced. Well, our vital flux, which is always there, means even with our means even a mother and a child also. बेटे बेटे बहुत पतले हो गए हो. Every time parents will tell that even if the child has put on 40 kilos, no, you have just become so thin. Come eat this gajar ka halwa. You will. This was an old dialogue always there. That is love, but that is love with a shade of emotions also, which is still vital. But this is a higher one where emotions have been transcended. They have not been discarded. What we can say there is the Chaitya Purush or psychic being, it has come to the front. Artists get that while drawing beautiful artwork, suddenly then it expresses itself. Sometimes earlier I used to think earlier my circuit kharab ho gaya hai, because when I used to write poetry, I did not know why I am writing it. And I had just joined Damleji and it was sometimes I didn't know why. I wrote once about a particular Pegasus, a Greek mystic horse with wings and all. I had no idea about it. And when I wrote it down, I was feeling these tears. And I could not understand what it was, why I wrote it, what I wrote. But that time I was feeling it. When I went to Damle, he said, "No, that's all right." He says, "Don't emotionally analyze that also. Keep that aside, you will understand." But later on, I learned from Sir as I lived many years with him, as he explains. These are moments when our psychic being comes to the front. That is the experience. Means when we get that experience, we will even get the Gita experience of probably Vasudevam Sarvamiti, because you are able to see the divine because your consciousness also has been elevated to see the divine in another person, maybe in a different form. I don't relate with outer appearance. It's all right. Sarvatra Samadarshana. How is it possible? Means your inner eye is open. So these are all different spiritual experiences. That's what Krishna has mentioned, Sri Aurobindo has talked about. That's why I just talked about it. So the people have this fear factor. We have heard in the Gita also, fear is not required in sadhana. Lot of time because we don't know things we don't know, we fear. Especially when we say forces, we immediately wonder, ki, "Arey yaar, I did not learn anything about this Vama Marga. I never learnt about Tantra. What will happen? How will I deal with those forces? Krishna has taught me only bhakti." No, it's not like that. It is not. There is also Krishna is talking about, if you see, Krishna is also worshipped in the Tantra Marga as well. There are forces at play which are everywhere. Devi force, Asuri force, Rajasic force, Sattvic force, Tamasic force. The world is having a flux of forces. In those forces, if we allow our vital body to appear in the front, then we have these disturbed dreams, like how he was having little fear. Sometimes people have horror dreams, nightmares. That is because, again, you are allowed the vital, what we can say. And then there are imprints of subconsciousness or subconscious mind also coming in between. So that is why when you go into the sleep, you go consciously into the sleep. One step, you must quietly go into the sleep. And here, Sri Aurobindo is being asked that what happens because of pressure of yoga, many are leaving the marga. That is the feeling what Nirodharan was having. So here, Sri Aurobindo very clearly said, nobody leaves because of pressure of yoga. If one follows one psychic being and higher mental will, so we just saw what psychic being is. So one follows that inner voice, follows that psychic being, follows the higher will. No amount of pressure of yoga can produce such results. Jako rakhe saiya mar sake na koi. Which force is strong enough? If we say grahas are there, grahas have an influence. Some of the grahas have a positive influence, some have a negative influence. Who is the Adipati of all the grahas? Purusha Supreme, isn't it? And who is that Purusha Supreme? Arjuna understood when he saw the Vishwarupa, Sanatanasvam Purusho Matume. He was scared. He was telling Krishna, you don't know what will happen. Sanatan Dharma will get destroyed. And then he sees the guardian is so strong. He folds his hand and he bows with full pranam because that is the higher force. So our psychic being should be in the front. How do we do it? Japa is there, dhyana is there. That is why sharirik, manasik, pranic, bodhik, all angles. We have to spend some time doing exercise. No, I am not very much of exercise person. It is not an excuse. Sharirik aspect must be done. Same way, manasik also, mental related activities must be done. Bodhik, bodhik is what we are doing right now, isn't it? Like we are studying some shastra some abhyas, some scriptural reading. Jamji always said, Sharir, Man, Pran, Buddhi, then only you'll have balance. Otherwise, what happens? Imbalance. And when there is imbalance, there's a problem. Pressure is going to escape somewhere or the other. So all four, we have to only identify which is requiring what. But that is a part. Krishna says, yoga, Sri Aurobindo says, yoga is not something that will drive a person away. Instead, it will help us build a resistance to the lower forces, the lower vital also. Let us continue. Nirodharan, he writes, the mother in Conversations says that the first effect of yoga is to take away the mental control so that the ideas and desires which were so long checked become surprisingly prominent and create difficulties. Sri Aurobindo, he says, they were not prominent because they were getting some satisfaction, or at least the vital generally was getting indulged in one way or the other. When they are no longer indulged, then they become obstreperous. But they are not new forces created by the yoga. They were there all the time. What is meant by the mental control being removed is that the mental simply kept them in check but could not remove them. So in yoga, the mental has to be replaced by the psychic or spiritual self control, which could do what the mental cannot. Only many sadhaks do not make this exchange in time and withdraw the mental control merely. So another nice question Nirodpuran asked was, he had read this book, Conversations with the Mother. There, the first one of the questions that came to him was that first effect of yoga is to take away mental control, so that ideas, desires which are so long checked, they will create more difficulties only initially. Sri Aurobindo says it's not that. What is it doing? It's not creating new difficulties. It is just like, has anybody heard of this term called withdrawal symptoms? Yes. If yes, where? What is a withdrawal symptom?
That's what an addict feels once the
Ha.
object of
Yes.
addiction is moved suddenly and they are craving for it. So that's the
Yes. Yes.
withdrawal.
It's a withdrawal symptom. So is a withdrawal symptom a bad thing compared to the
It's not,
addiction?
it's a symptom of a disease. Like,
It is a symptom of the
isn't it?
disease, isn't it? Yes, yes. So it is something like that. Earlier, what would happen before going on the yoga mark? We would allow vital indulgence to take place. We would allow ourselves to easily get carried, easily get drained. So initially, when you're just starting, initially what happens? The hurdles appear stronger, isn't it? Because you have got a tendency, your mental tendency. My mind is always, what we can say, it is very difficult to, once the mind has got trapped with some sanskara, it is very difficult to remove it. So because of it, very easily like a person who has stopped smoking cigarette, he goes on the road and he suddenly gets a smell of cigarette. He'll say, oh, just one, just one. I need to take it. And he goes there, isn't it? Something like that. Nirodvaran is being explained by Sherwin. This is what yoga is not creating this. These were already there. This addiction was there inside. He had the tendency. Some people have a tendency to get angry, isn't it? That is again what Rajas. Because of Rajas, people do extremely wrong thing then. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava, as Krishna said. So, what has to be done is let the psychic being rise, use the spiritual will, keep the mind slightly aside. Namleji was asked this question, how do we grow beyond the mind? Because everywhere talks are about going beyond the mind. And in a talk, when Damleji had gone to a lecture of Papaji, there, very great sadhak, he had just simply said, how do we go beyond the mind? By doing it. That was only the answer. So the other mothers and all very senior ladies, they turned to Damleji. He was younger compared to all of them by at least 10, 15 years. He said, you will tell something simple. Well, how do I deal with it? That time Damleji said, आपने मारना नहीं चाहिए और पापा जी को बताना नहीं चाहिए तो मैं बताऊंगा. And then he said, there's a song in Hindi song, गोली गोली मार भेजे पे भेजा शोर करता है. भेजे कि सुनेगा तो मरेगा. That is what he said. They all started laughing, but they actually understood that important point because mind is always going to function according to its lower limit only because of its attachment to the senses. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manah. Manasastu para buddhi yo buddhe paratastu saha. Gita talks about levels of consciousness. When are we going to rise to the higher consciousness if we are just going to be playing on the lower level of these indriyas and senses only? When will we get the higher experience? And the lower experiences are limited. We also know that. They have an expiry date. I like this person so much. Tomorrow that person stops behaving according to your liking. What happened to your likes? Or was it again temporary? Or was it conditional? So these are all what we can say. We'll have to rise beyond vital to experience psychic. What is Radha and Krishna's prem? Is it lower vital? No, isn't it? It is the highest. It is the highest and psychic. Togetherness is there, presence is felt, understanding. And imagine we get this relation, understanding. What is that? Among friends, among families, among brothers and sisters, among even beloveds. You will understand each other, and that will be the aspiration of manifestation of the aspiration of Vedic rishis. They said, Sam gachadvam, sam vadadvam. Let us understand each other. Let us consciously experience telepathy. All of these. What is this? It is all conscious connection on the psychic level. That will start happening. For that, we have to rise. That is an important aspect. So it is not yoga that is causing the problem. It is what is already there. Only because of yoga you are able to diagnose it. So diagnosis के बाद treatment initial stages looks difficult, but that does not mean we should not do the treatment. It is something like that. Nirodharan, he further asks, I find already that at certain moments, this life seems distasteful, dull, and dreary. His entire life only, he says, is feeling like that. Distasteful, dull, and dreary. This happens in sadhana. Many, if we are not having it, we can say Krishna's krupa is there. But almost many sadhaks feel this at times. कि अरे क्या हो रहा है? There's no meaning. There's no purpose. What am I doing? Where is light? Where is Krishna? What will happen? This is something which Nirotparan is feeling. Let us continue. What is meant by dull and dreary is that the ordinary preoccupations and amusements of the vital are not there. The whole of one's life and action has to be turned into sadhana, and then it is not dull. Sri Aurobindo says this. The whole of one's life and action has to be turned into sadhana, and then it is not dull. Only then all moments have been channeled. As Sri Aurobindo says, all life is yoga. Nirodparan. I hear you do not like the gatekeepers to do any writing, reading, etc. when on duty. Is it true? Sri Aurobindo. It was because people were neglecting their duty in absorption of reading and writing, allowing undesirable people to enter, etc. If that does not happen, one can read or write. Only when one is on duty, duty comes first. Mam phaleshu kadachanam karmanyevadhikarasti, same principle. Focus on the work, focus on your actions, focus on your duty, nothing else when you are doing it. May 12th, 1933. The Nirodharan. Mother, after raising my hopes, you have dashed them to the ground with much, with much expectation. I waited for a flower from you this morning, but got none. Is it because I hadn't asked for it? I have been upset all day because of it. Sri Aurobindo, it was not at all intentionally that the flower was not given. It was due to an oversight committed by when Nolini was counting the number of flowers to be distributed. But it's beautiful, isn't it? Everybody is conscious, each person, this flower is to go for so many. How even mother would say consciously pluck the flowers also when they are being offered. She would say ask permission from the plant. That is something, every single aspect. And here also he's feeling that I did not receive the flower. Is the grace not come to me today? Have I done something wrong? Again, Nirodharan, he says, N says you have arranged Budi house but for P. I suppose no nearer house is available. Sri Aurobindo, there is another house less breezy and almost as far. Nirodharan, Mother, in the pranam, your looks vary so much from day to day that one cannot but realize at once that they have a significance. Today, I could make out that you wanted to tell me something, but I could not understand what it was. I went over all the incidents of the day. No result. Sri Aurobindo. It was only to keep yourself clear from all influences except the mother's. Nirodharan. Can I have tea at Dilip's place in the morning? Sri Aurobindo. Yes. Nirodharan. I hope there won't be any encouragement of cravings. Of course, I have been able to trace, I have not been able to trace any outward bad effects from such occasional indulgence. Sri Aurobindo, if it is occasional and you have no attachment, it is all right. Nirodharan, I am trying, as you asked me, to give Sanjeevan a general idea of the surface of the body to help him in his painting. Sri Aurobindo, yes, that is it. Especially the proportions and forms and the deformations coming by movement. Example, contraction of muscles in different positions, etc. May 24th, 1933. Nirodharan, sometimes I think that you are giving me a taste of the cup of bliss in very small drops and at long intervals. But I do not at all despair. Sri Aurobindo, there is no reason certainly for despair. The bliss always comes in drops at first, or a broken trickle. You have to go on cheerfully and in full confidence till there is the cascade. May 28, 1933. This is also very heartening, isn't it? Grace will come in trickles only, at few drops, and then there will be like a waterfall only afterwards. That is what Sri Aurobindo has said. What everybody relates to this very much, or how is it? We ask, no? Darshan do Ghanshyam. Yes, Deepak ji? Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. We very well related.
Yeah. एक एक बूंद मिल जाने दो कृपा की भगवान एक ही चाहिए ज्यादा नहीं मांग रहे but slowly afterwards maybe we will see because one more thing which is beautiful is as this book goes as we go deeper into this book the reason Sri Aurobindo is having this correspondence with Nirodharan is to raise his consciousness so Nirodharan's sadhana also starts going and it goes very fast. Right now, we are just seeing simple correspondences, but do it deeper. And then that trickle of Ananda is something which will become a cascade. I think maybe when we come to that, our lives also we should be experiencing that because everything we want a practical experience. So let us see. Touch wood. I'll touch the table only. Let us hope so. Let us continue. B writes that one can receive forces even unconsciously. Many people who were once hostile or had no opening to yoga had a sudden change. At the same time, I have heard you say that one receives when one opens oneself, which is true. Sri Aurobindo, it is more complex than that. Of course, a hostile mind can be changed by a sudden experience, but the experience shows that something in him was open, though not on the surface. Nirotpan, how to remember the mother during work? I have tried to follow a mental rule without success. Perhaps it is the inner consciousness that remembers while the outer is busy. Sri Aurobindo. One starts by a mental effort. Afterwards, it is an inner consciousness that is formed, which need not always, which need not be always thinking of the mother, because it is always conscious of her. So again, I'll repeat that part because it's very practical for us also. We are all trying to remember Krishna at all times, whatever works we are doing. So here, one starts by a mental effort. Afterwards, it is an inner consciousness that is formed, which need not be always thinking of the mother, because it is always conscious of her. With sadhana, slowly the sanskar of sadhana also takes place and the consciousness is established. Even if we may not directly say the word, say the name of Krishna, he is in our heart, he is in our consciousness only. Maybe I did not use his word, but I am not forgotten. That system should come into us as we move ahead. June 1933. Nirodhan. After these few months of peace and cheerfulness, you see, so many months have gone. After these few months of peace and cheerfulness, why now an upsurge of vital thoughts and desires which don't leave me? They are so depressing. Sri Aurobindo, the only thing to do with such depressing thoughts is not to indulge them, to send them away at once. Vital difficulties are the common lot of every human being and of every sadhak. They are to be met with a quiet determination and confidence in the divine grace. So, depressing thoughts, what we have to do is not indulge in them, not give them home. Like a guest comes to our house whom we don't like. Do we say, हाँ, और कुछ दिन रहिए? What do you like? I'll keep giving you continuously. What happened? We keep, Bhagwan, what has happened? What did I do wrong? This person, what is he doing? We don't entertain, no? We don't entertain people we don't like. If some cruel person comes to our house out of dharma, we have allowed the person to maybe have a glass of water or a coffee or something like that. Do we entertain that person longer or we try to avoid? We try to avoid further, don't create nuisance, try to nip it in the bud. Something like that, let's not indulge. What happens when we indulge is then we bring on sorrow. There was a time when I had thoughts which were, we can say, lower vital or maybe depressing thoughts. We had so many hurdles on the outside, nothing was manifesting. I thought, ye kya ho raha hai? That time I began to think, Arey, Sushrut, you came here, no? That was the reason it happened. You are the Apshagun. Because of this, it is happening. If you probably move out, you are that source of negative force. If you move out, things will go better. Thank God I did not listen to those. I didn't indulge in those thoughts. Work would have gone ahead because Krishna has told, isn't it? Nimitta Matra, he will find newer Nimitta Matras. God is not dependent on the instruments, but instruments are very much dependent on the divine. So we cannot afford. Can anybody afford to have depressive thoughts any time of the day or any time of the life? Never, never, never. So let us never ever indulge. ठीक है, nothing is going according to our will. At least, okay, everything is going according to divine will. It's not mine. It's all right. Something may be there, some reason may be there. But let us learn to keep them at bay because we don't want to bring in those clouds of sorrow in our life, no matter what. Sri Aurobindo says it's a very common. He says vital difficulties. These are vital difficulties, lower vital, lower emotional. They are very common for every human being and every sadhak. Whether a person is doing sadhana or not, also this is the moment which will come. So it is not something which is out of the blue. Arjuna got it, isn't it? In the first adhyay. A great yogi like Arjuna, we can say he was a sadhak only already. Great tapasvi. He got that in the first adhyay of the Gita we see. So what about all of us? So when we get this, understand it is just lower, we know what is higher. That is our blessing. That is Krishna's grace that we have understood something is there which is higher. Just hold on to that. Let us go on. Nirodparan, he says, now I realize that my efforts are not everything. They can be more effective by your help and grace. But should I write to you every time I have a difficulty? This is a nice question. And he's so lucky, isn't it? He can write and get a response also. Sri Aurobindo says, you can always write. Nirudparan, during my gate duty, visitors inquire sometimes about the nature of food, number of people, etc. Sri Aurobindo, no inner details about the ashram can be given to outsiders. There is an express rule against it. Just one more point I wanted to make. You see, he's a doctor, isn't it? Why is doctor doing a gate duty? This is sadhana, this is integral yoga, this is purna yoga. Each person's no work is higher, no work is lower. One of the first things Dr. Nirodharan was given was carpentry section because he had to, before learning something new, he had to unlearn the sanskaras, and that is why doing this work was important. And then not all were visitors who had come to the ashram. The spies of the Britishers also would come. British would send spies to gather information and they wanted to find some way or the other to indict Sri Aurobindo and close down the ashram. So that is why Sri Aurobindo talked about that rule also. Don't share inner details and focus on the duty only. Nirudbaran, some people get disappointed when they learn that they cannot see Sri Aurobindo. Shall I suggest them to write or tell them anything about you? Sri Aurobindo, no, certainly not. They can be shown the photograph in the reception room if they want. There is no necessity to volunteer information about the mother. Like how Krishna also says, no, don't tell the Bhagavad Gita to somebody who doesn't have Shraddha or who doesn't want to know, just out of, if only those who are seeking will find it. Nirodharan, I took some food at these. I don't know whether you approve of these indulgences. Sri Aurobindo, it does not matter. Nirodharan, Dr. B wants to take up gate duty. Shall I part with it? Sri Aurobindo, yes, it was his work, so he is entitled to have it back. July 1933. Nirodhan, do you think I should allow myself these modes of recreation or occasional enjoyments? I think there is a little craving for a cup of tea associated with it. So all his correspondence they come back to the tea only. I think there's a little craving for a cup of tea associated with it. Sri Aurobindo, you can if you feel the need. Nirodhan, R asks me to take some outside food. I am rather tempted, but should I? Sri Aurobindo, you do not expect the mother to give sanction to these things. Those who take outside food do it on their own responsibility. Nirodhan, I find the French grammar is very annoying. Will it not be better to read for the present some easy storybooks? Sri Aurobindo, if you like, but if you do not learn the grammar, you will never know French well. Nirodhan, Dilip is giving lessons on rhythm. I intend to learn, but I think there is hardly any poetry in me. Sri Aurobindo, you can learn it. It is easy enough to learn. Nirodhan, I offered work in Nagin's vegetable garden. Should I try at least? Nirodhan, Sri Aurobindo. Yes, you can try. July 28, 1933, about a personal problem. It has been, the question has been hidden because it's something personal. But Sri Aurobindo's response was impersonal, so it was mentioned. Sri Aurobindo is responding. There is nothing unusual in your feelings towards X. It is the way that vital love usually takes when there is no strong psychic force to correct and uphold it. After the first vital glow is over, the incompatibility of the two egos begins to show itself, and there is more and more strain in the relations. For one or both, the demands of the other become intolerable to the vital part. There is a constant irritation, and claim is felt as a burden and a yoke. The other elements of which you speak have nothing to do with this particular relation. They could have existed in a purely mental friendship or psychic relation without any vital demand on either side. Naturally, in a life of sadhana, there is no room for vital relations. They are stumbling blocks preventing the wholesale turning of nature towards the divine. August 1933. Nirodhan, in a complaining tone. Mother did not put her hand on my head during pranam. I hope it was not due to any wrong movement in me. Sri Aurobindo. No, it was merely because mother was in a trance. Nirodhan, I hear N is going away. It is very surprising and painful to find that one who has been apparently so earnest and sincere in sadhana should have had such a failure. Sri Aurobindo, what do you mean by sincere? If one does yoga in order to be a great yogi or in order to satisfy the sex impulse in the vital, that is not sincerity. It is what N started doing. Father, he began to have wrong experiences, and when he was told so, instead of putting himself right, he began to conceal his experiences from me, which shows that he preferred his egoistic satisfaction in getting experiences to the truth. And that is not sincerity. Nirotparan, I have the idea that since we can communicate everything to you by prayer, why need we write? Garimaji wants to say something? Yes, Garimaji.
Yes, couldn't understand the past 3,
Okay,
4.
yeah. Yes, 3 4 months. The last question about
Yes.
this, we were discussing about this person who
Ye-
failed in sadhana, isn't it,
Yes.
Ji?
Yes.
Or should I read it out once more?
Yes. So I just want to understand the concept of sincerity from Sri
Sri
Aurobindo.
Aurobindo. Yeah, yeah. So Nirod Baran was very disappointed because he felt such a person is a big. We get this feeling when we look at people, we think, oh, this person is a great sadhak, this person is like this. So that was his impression that somebody named N was a big sadhak. So when he suddenly realized when they something happened and then he decided to leave this and leave the path. So Nirod Baran was very disappointed. And so he mentioned it. Ki, "Arey, what is this? A sincere sadhak also fails." Do we remember something in Gita, Yoga Bhrashta? Arjuna asking about Yoga Bhrashta. What happens then on the mark when somebody goes and then he's sincere also and then he fails? What happens? Do we remember that?
Yes.
Yes, Garimaji?
Sorry, I
No problem. No, it's fine. Anybody remembers? Yes, Deepakji?
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
Manisha ji
Yes.
also. Yes. Anything you can tell me about it?
Yes, when Arjuna was asked to fight, he said, "No, I'm not very sure."
Okay, fine. No, it's actually Arjuna wanted guarantee about going on the path of yoga. So he said, but no, what happens when if I'm not able to maintain my desires, take control? Will I not fail? Will I not be a complete failure? That was where the question came. So here something has happened in this particular sadhak. What has happened is he has suddenly walked away from the path. Now, Sri Aurobindo says, he just says because Nirodharan used this adjective called sincere. That time Sri Aurobindo said, you have attributed him to be sincere. What do you mean by sincere? If one does yoga in order to be a great yogi, means that is an ambition only, isn't it? I want to become the best yogi. I want to be a better yogi than that person. I want this particular siddhi, which will take me higher in consciousness than another person. These are all again what we can say vital impulses, no? Emotional impulses in sadhana. No? So they are not right. So he was having sincere, but instead of sincerity, there was a lot of ahankar. That is what we call sukshma ahankar. First is a very what we can say jada ahankar, which will make a person never do sadhana. But sukshma ahankar this is a dangerous one. It is very difficult, and this is one of the pitfalls we see in sadhana. Because who can remove sukshma ahankar? Only the guru can remove sukshma ahankar or the aradhya. We don't realize it. Only it is ahankar. And here what happened is his ahankar took control over him that he refused guru's intervention also. What can guru do then? Same thing what the divine can do. If the instrument says no, I will not work according to your will. Surgeon's knife says, no, no, surgeon, you're taking right. You should go left. What will the surgeon do? He will throw that knife like a toothpick or he'll have to use another knife. Something like that. That is why ahankar should not come inside of us. Here, this particular sadhak, in what he was doing in order to become a great yogi or in order to satisfy the sex impulse, or he was having sexual desires inside of him. And he was using yoga sadhana to only fulfill it. There are different margas, isn't it? So probably he was walking on a wrong path. And this is what he started doing, and then he began to have wrong experiences. And when he was told not to do it, instead of pushing himself right, he began to hide the experiences, thinking that the divine will not know. Many times this happens, no? When I think parents also must have seen in children, they do something, then they eat, they hide it, they conceal it. But
yeah.
parents recognize it, isn't it, Garimaji?
Yes, yes, yes. I understand it
Yes.
now.
Yeah, so this is what he did. So he hid it. He hid it.
Yeah.
Concealing is not, we should not conceal, not from the Guru, not from the Aradhya. Conceal from your friend, conceal from others, it's all right, but not
Mm.
from the divine. That is not we should do. If we do that, we are keeping one opening for the lower force inside of us. So that will push. What happens ultimately in the Gita, it has been told, no, there is no yoga brashta also, meaning there's no ultimate failure. What punya this person did in sadhana, he will get it. But imagine somebody who has done all the hard work to set up something and then suddenly leaves that organization and has to again start from scratch. He'll have the experience of what he has learned. But if he had stayed there, he could have progressed. Sometimes in life, moments don't come again. People have to wait. Sometimes people have to wait for another Janma also. Sometimes we are not conscious of some moments, so they don't come again. That is why we must become conscious, or more important than becoming conscious is let's not conceal from the divine. Let's not conceal from the Guru. Let us not conceal anything. Otherwise, we are only creating air. We should be sincere. That is why the story of Krishna stealing clothes is there. No, Krishna had stolen the clothes. What is the meaning of that symbolism inside of that? Lot of people have done a lot of misinterpretation and tried to distort its meaning. It's actually this is how we should be in front of the divine, completely bare and without any concealing. That was a symbolism inside of it. Ji. Yes, Garima ji?
Yes, understood. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, ji. All right, let us continue. So, yes, it's also time. So, we'll probably look at three more and we will just stop. I have the idea that since we can communicate everything to you by prayer, why need we write? But then it can also be said, why not write? Do you think something is trying to hide under the cloak of this argument? So this he's saying if you can understand all our prayers, Sri Aurobindo, why should I write to you these letters of correspondence? Then again, I'm having a thought why I should not write letters. What is there? Sri Aurobindo's reply. Normally, I don't know how much patience Sri Aurobindo has, how he can answer all of these questions. He says, Sri Aurobindo has said, it is always well to write what goes on in you, but it need not be done every day. The essential is to keep nothing concealed. Same thing. The essential is to keep nothing concealed. That is why it is important. Your mind is clear. What happens when you conceal something? Your mind only is full. Dr. Bhavna wants to say something? Yes, ji.
No, 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 no. This answer is exactly 4th August. Nothing to be
Ah,
considered.
nothing to be concealed, isn't it? Yes, because what happens when we chor ke dadi mein tinka, we have heard that phrase, isn't it? Guilty consciousness is there when you conceal it. Instead, okay, I'm sorry, I am like this, गलती हो गई, माफ कर देना, punishment देना हो तो दे देना, फिर से गलती नहीं करूंगा. It's simple as that to become so clear and straightforward. Then you can see eye to eye. But when we conceal, we cannot even see God in our eye. We cannot see eye to eye. We hide, we bow, we feel guilty, we run away. All these things happen. Nirodhan, may I do an extra pranam for C and P? Shri Aurobindo, yes, provided you do the two in 1 minute. Even with 1 minute for each, we are threatened with a 7 hour sitting. There are 500 people. August 12, 1933. This was a very elaborate affair. Sri Aurobindo and Mother, they would give darshan. That time, 500 plus people would come. Each person had to consciously focus on, and it was unbelievable how many hours. 7 hours they had to continuously remain in that consciousness. And so many people would come from so far off. Chandu has sent 2 rupees on the occasion of his birthday, 26th August. May I send you some flowers? Share window. Yes. So even that he's asking permission. I got 2 rupees. Can I buy you flowers? Then Nirodhan, with the money shall I buy fruits or sauce or pickles? Shri Aurobindo. No sauce or pickles at any rate. Fruits if you like. Sattvic ahar, okay. No rajasic or tamasic ahar. So with this, we'll stop here. We stopped at August 12th. And we can maybe have a short discussion on something. Again, this 2 rupees, 1 rupee, what is that? What is this? This is accountancy. Accountability towards whom? Towards the divine. I got this experience after coming to Damleji. Damleji, I had heard about Damleji when he was actually a executive, he was married, he had 2 children, and then he left everything to live with his guru. And at his guru's place, he would give accountants like for even coriander, isn't it? People give free, He used to give this is this much coriander, this was the cost. Then afterwards, when our Damleji's unit construction that Ayurvedic manufacturing, which is called Midam Ashram, where our Ayurvedic medicines are made. The one who did construction was an ashramite, only old friend of Damleji, and he was involved in the construction of the Matri Mandir also of Auroville. So I had a very good chance of interacting with him because I would go with him throughout the construction time. My job was to be with him only. That time, I remember he had no builder. There was no contractual agreement, and yet the building construction was taking place. And no builder will say bus fare 12 rupees, bus fare 13 rupees in the accounts of a big construction of a building. How is it possible? No, he was doing that, and he would say, "Why was this bus fare important? I will eat only from the ashram dining room." So from the dining room, he would catch a bus, which would take him 1 hour, 1.5 hours. He would travel, look over, supervise, see the work is going ahead, again go back, but not 1 rupee extra. What for? He said, "ये माताजी का काम है." बस, nothing else. When I went, it was very hot, so I thought, let's go have some. I wanted him also because it was a very hot day. I thought, sir, let us go. We'll have Mosambik. He said, क्यों फुकटिया में 25 रुपया डालना है? ये 5 रुपए में यहाँ पे मिलता है, उसमें भी वही तुम्हें न्यूट्रिशन मिल जाएगा, तुम्हारा काम हो जाएगा. I was so surprised. Somebody would say, why is he so stingy? But no, he was a great, what we can say, yogi, karma yogi also. And each and everything I had seen how he was cutting vegetables also, consciously cutting fruits also. I had gone to his, he would do 2 hours of broom work, cleaning with broom, though he is in charge. He has been made in charge. He has servants to do that work, but they will not do that work. He will do his work because ये मैं माता जी के लिए कर रहा हूँ. And I had not seen anybody. One mango, he ate it. He cut half of the mango and he gave it. I was feeling guilty. Ki, "Arey, sir is so senior. He is also he's in his 60s. I'm making him give me something, sir." But no, accountancy is important. So this is something which probably we can see. 2 rupees, 1 rupee. What is it important? Who is watching? Who is not watching? You are watching. The divine is also watching. You have to become conscious in everything. Can I have tea again? It may sound silly for us. It may sound funny. He's again and again going there. But that sincerity is what is so important. And sincerity is one quality which is very, very, what we can say, underestimated in sadhana. It's a very underestimated quality. But it is absolutely most important, without which nothing can be done. Sadhana can also become bhanga. All siddhis can be lost if sincerity is lost. That is why we see a lot of it. But yes, anybody would like to just look at something from what we discussed today? Because with this, we can actually conclude after this. Anything you would like to relook at? Today, we saw something more about vital and the impulses of the vital, how lower vital impulses they can take us away if we allow them. And something more about the psychic was introduced. Yes, anybody? Any questions or anything you wish to ask or even share your observation? You are welcome. If anybody wants to also summarize. Yes, Adya ji. Yes, ji.
Hari Om ji. You said about that development of consciousness, na? When we keep practicing sadhana, the consciousness inside, the sanskar of the sadhana develops. So
Yes.
not from this session, I heard from another guru this instance that one day there was a small boy who went to a guru and in Vrindavan and asked him that, please accept me as your disciple. And the guru said to him that, I will not accept you, but you keep doing sadhana, I will accept you as my disciple the day Krishna accepts you. So
Yeah.
the meaning was that that every relationship is two-sided. It is from both the sides. So
Yeah.
once we approach and we show our sincerity, God also responds. And when He accepts that okay, fine, we are now related. That is the
Yeah.
actual development of consciousness that that you are calling it a conscious development of consciousness, but some bhakti yogis interpret it as that God is now okay, you are mine. God is now taking like being okay, you are now mine, you are now my person. That that was one interpretation of development of consciousness, that it is now from his side. So both of them are okay, we are now in a
Yes.
relationship.
But
That's
yes,
how it
see,
goes ahead.
one small thing that we saw was even in this, we have to be very careful that lower vital does not come into place,
Yes, yes,
isn't it? That is why the sadhak who had done good sadhana, but he went astray because of that. Means
yes,
मेलन तो हो गया, मेलन हो गया फिर जुदा भी हो गए, बट क्योंकि कुछ और बचा था अंदर, which was
yes.
ahankar was still
True,
there. So
so
probably
true.
regularly. Well, that is why we have to keep. One more interesting thing is you see now Olympics are going on. You look at all these athletes, how they are so, we can say suprahuman only, isn't it? So many of their active actions and, but how is it created? Sanskar is created, isn't it? What we call cell memory is established. Repeatedly tasks. Namleji would continuously do jump, so much jump that later it became what we call ajap jump. It happens continuously, unknowingly also. He would say, I would walk with my suitcase as a representative. Each step, he would couple it with a mantra chanting. Imagine you're sitting on the computer. Some people who are software engineers, they're sitting and working. Working is going on, code is going on some solving, whatever work is happening. But on the inside, sadhana is going on. Beautiful mantra chanting is going on. Krishna is there in the heart, and you're actually cheerfully doing it. Or somebody is cooking. Again, cooking, again, conscious. Action is focused on work. But on the inside, it is when that happens, then there is no draining, there is no depression, there is no lower thought, there is no fear, there is no. We will later hear about what we call higher conscious level. There is something called subconscious. Dark impulses are thrown from the subconscious. It's like you wear white, beautiful clothes. Somebody feels tendency to throw something black or something onto it, isn't it? Something like that. In our
Yes,
sadhana also, sometimes we are vulnerable. How do we block that? So that is a lower conscious, subconscious from there. So those all will come out, but for that, our sadhana steps we can see is this. And another thing we thought about saw was the vital coming to the front, isn't it? It
mm.
will be nice if it is
There was
always in the front. Yeah, Adyaji? Yeah?
another instance that we when we are learning to do sadhana, we learn that theoretically we learn that we are doing everything and divine is watching us, so we should do everything consciously because divine is watching us. And that guru said that when you keep doing sadhana and when your interaction with God keeps increasing, there comes a point where you realize it was God doing everything, and in fact you were the one who was watching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So nicely said. That is why they say, no,
The
राम का हमारा काम करे हम बैठे आराम.
yes, yes, yes. The perception is completely opposite in a higher level of sadhana, that they are
Yes,
the ones who
yes.
are doing, realize everything
That
they
is
did.
where the sanskar has been established, isn't it? A dancer
Yes, yes,
has to
yes,
keep
yes,
practicing a stroke again and again, again and again, till
yes,
till that becomes a part of the system. Then music starts, body moves on its own. Cell memory.
yes. We realize that
Isn't it?
it was the divine doing. We are watching.
Yeah, yeah. Many times, one very interesting dialogue was going on. Divine work, there was a lot of pressure. Divine work must be done. It has to happen. We had a very nice discussion. Who is doing divine work? You or God?
That's a
God
very
only is
big
doing.
question.
God is doing divine work. So when a work is being done, who should be responsible for the pressure of the work? The head of the organization or the one on the last lowermost rung of the task of work? The biggest headache is always to the one who is in charge, isn't it?
Yes,
So then we have to first become worthy of becoming the instrument, and our focus initially should be on becoming available as instrument at all times, not allow the other impulses. Means very beautifully one, I think one very nice how relations go apart, isn't it? That also Sri Aurobindo talked about. Initially, when bonds are made only on vital level, not on psychic level, understanding is not there, then what happens? Like in my college, my friend had seen somebody very beautiful in the very first year. Then, अरे ये तो चांद जैसे चेहरा है, so beautiful. This person is so lovely. Everything is wonderful. Even flaws are beautiful, is what he was saying. Everything is perfect. I do not know what happened. Second year, third year, he got a better telescope, better camera, or what, I don't know. Now he's only seeing the craters on the moon. He's not feeling the moon is beautiful at all. The person did not change, isn't it? But it was a vital level of attraction. It was not psychic, it was not spiritual, it was not Radha Krishna's oneness, no. It was an attraction over emotional level. So what will happen then? Then that attraction will slowly, but novelty aspect suddenly disappears after a while. Then the lower vital comes, the vital exchange takes place, frustrations, everything they come in. So that is why we have to probably to love better, we'll have to rise in consciousness also, isn't it? Otherwise, we will also be Machi Bazar, exchanging vital. That is all we will be doing. Of course, I'm not trying to say Machi Bazar is anyway bad. Our Vyasa, he was born in a fisherman's house. He is exalted. We're not trying to talk about it, but I'm just saying is a lot of noise is there when you go there, somewhere, anywhere else also. And instead, in the quietude, we should learn to go inside also. So that is all. Yes, please. Anybody wants to add something or anything you wish to ask or you want to share, or otherwise, we'll call it a day. A nice day starting tomorrow. Shravan Somvar. We'll have a very good, auspicious beginning as well. Yes, anybody? All right, then I hope everybody had a good dinner if you are in India. Otherwise, you have it. I'm better having it before because it's quite late. So other time zones, I'm not very sure of what it is. So looking forward to meeting next week again. If we can just, if somebody wishes, you can just draw some of the takeaways because many have missed who have not ended. So we can only because we can. The reason we are using this book is for our own sadhana also. We want to, bring it like how Bhagavad Gita we want in everyday life. This also we are trying to understand, and more than understand, we are trying to implement it. So how we can? So if anybody wants to share some points. Anybody wants to add some things, you can please feel free to share in the group as well. So I conclude with the Shanti mantra. All right, Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mante Jagat Guru. One small request, participants, if you can turn on your video feeds, please do turn on the video feeds. I am also not very used to this timing, so I also feel a little sleepy. I'm trying to fight that, but it will be more interesting to interact. You don't have to, like I said, I will not take any share of your dinner. So you can eat snacks also. Even if we talk about Rajasic or Satvik, nobody is going to comment on anybody's food. So you can please feel free to turn on the video feed. All right then. Looking forward to next week then. Hari Om. Jai Shri Krishna. Namaskar.
Hari
Namaskar.
Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank you.
Krishna Hari Om.
Jai Shri Krishna. Namaskar. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Yes.
Hari
Hari Om. Hari Om. Namaskar.